It is not who you are that's holding you back. It is the illusions of who you think you're not. This is Anders Hansen, and I'm here to help you shatter those illusions and live the life of your dreams.
So let's kick it off with, you guessed it, an illusion. Because we know it's our mind that we see with. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind. And you see with a framework that has been established in your mind. You don't see with your eyes. And the whole thing about the hand being quicker than the eye, that's a myth, right? You can't see properly when the mind is out of alignment, and it is for most people. It's totally out of alignment. So I'm going to share something with you, and I really want you to lean in here, all right? This is a multi-dimensional domino brick. On this side, there's one dot. On this side, there are 4 dots. On this side, there are 3 dots. And this side, there are 6. And then you wonder what happened here, because more dots kept popping up, didn't they? Sure did. On this side, we saw 3 dots. Why did we do that? We do that because we're conditioned to see domino bricks. We've seen them many times before, and we have a picture in our mind for how 3 dots on a domino brick looks like. So you finished the pattern. You finished the story in your mind. You didn't see with your eyes in this case, you saw with your mind. You didn't see this pattern. You saw either that, where you assumed there was 1 dot, or you saw this pattern where you assumed there was 3. Okay? So we don't see with our eyes, we see with our assumptions. And of course, the same holds true on this side. You saw either 6 dots or you saw 4. You didn't see this pattern. Your mind has never seen that before. That's why you didn't make the assumption. And that's why you didn't see it. All right? So let's really go back and think about this. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your assumptions. And if I've done my job as an illusionist, you would see 3 dots on this side now, and you would see 8 dots on that side. So what I'm trying to say here, and thank you for those wonderful wishes, I appreciate it. But again, this is in my mom's spirit, so we're celebrating her life. Instead of being sad, let's celebrate. She was a wonderful woman. And she definitely taught me what persistence is. So this is, I'm illustrating this to really get you to think about your mind and how you perceive things. You don't see with your eyes, you don't. You see with a framework that has been established in your mind. Very, very important. So let's look at this from a totally different perspective. Thank you guys, much appreciated. And yes, she's here, and now she's finally able to see what I do. For years, people would ask her, what is your son doing? And she would go, well, he's doing magic. And people would ask her, well, can he make a living out of that? And she got really aggravated with people. She said, obviously he can. He's living in Miami in his own place. And she never really understood the whole personal development thing. But now, Mom, you can see it in full splendor. And you can see how we're having a great time here with 200 people live and over 900 registrants for this. And so I hope you're getting so much out of this as I am. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this. Cheryl says, admire your commitment in having this training in spite of your personal loss. Stay blessed. Thank you, Cheryl. Well, it's the right thing to do. Absolutely. So before we take a closer look at the mind, I want you to lean in here. I was studying something this morning with one of my reading partners, and this really popped out at me. Let's see here. The thing that stands between you and the greater good is a thing of thought and nothing else. It is not reality that you must change, but your mental reaction to it. Let's do that again. The thing that stands between you and the greater good is a thing of thought. It's nothing else but a thing of thought. It is not reality that you must change, but your mental reaction to it. Your mental reaction to it. Well, how can we do that if we don't understand how we function as a person? All right? Like it says, our programming decides what we see in life if we notice the opportunities. Yes, but most people don't because they see with their limitations. Think about it. We don't see with our eyes, we see with our mind. So let's look at this. This is a person who is Actually, let's first talk about the mind. Some of you know this concept, some of you do not. Some of you have seen it 1,000 times, and some of you have seen it for the first time today. The big circle, and I don't care how many times you've seen this, you're going to relate to it differently every single time. I know I do. I've seen it 1,000 times, and I keep learning more. The big circle is your mind. The small circle is your body. And the big circle is divided in two. There are two parts to the mind. There's your conscious intellectual mind, there's the subjective emotional mind, and then you have the physical body down here. So, you know, I had read The Power of Your Subconscious Mind back then 15 years ago. I knew there was two parts to the mind, but I couldn't get it to click. I could not get those concepts to fit in my mind. I couldn't articulate what I had done and how I had created those results. Now, today I understand with this illustration, because the illustration gives a picture to work with. And without a picture, we have a shallow understanding, because we think in pictures as people. We think in pictures. So if you don't have a picture, you don't have understanding. That's why illusions are so powerful, because they create a picture. They establish the idea as an illustration. All right? So this is what happens in most people. It's the intellectual mind, the conscious mind, that chooses. So there's an energy flowing into your mind. That's the energy that keeps you alive. It's an unadulterated, pure energy. It flows in, and you start to build pictures on a conscious level. Those pictures, they become emotionalized. We emotionalize them. We impress them on our subjective mind. That causes the body to act, and we produce a physical result. That's the result we have. So right now, your results are your results. They're nobody else's. And we gotta take, we gotta be very honest with ourselves. You know, it's nobody else's results. They're your results. Nobody else's. And so if we don't get this, we're going to let these results influence our thinking. Those results are going to go into our senses. These small antennae here are our physical senses hooked up to our conscious mind. And so we're going to look at that result, and we're going to start thinking about the result. And so when we think about the result, that becomes the emotions we experience. The emotions we experience becomes the way the body acts, and the body produces the result. And what happens? We produce more of the same. Is that a good way to live? No, I don't think so. But that's nonetheless how most people live. Do they want to live like that? No, they don't. So why don't they change it? Well, the key is they don't know how to change it. They have no idea how to do that. And so that's why they stay stuck. It's not a good place to be. If you can recognize this, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you can recognize this concept in your life. So what we gotta understand is that it's our mental reaction that will produce a new result. If we're waiting for the result to change before we will change, we're going to produce more of the same. And if we produce more of the same, I mean, you know, we're going to keep reproducing the thing that is there and was there as a result of what we've been mentally in the past. All right, great, guys. Hamster wheel, tried it. There you go. That's exactly how most people live. That's exactly how most people live. It's very, very unhealthy. And so what we want to realize is that, let me hold on. I'm always fighting my flip chart here, it seems like. There we go. That's a little bit better. So what we really want to do is go the opposite way. Even though you have these 5 senses, gee, this flip chart, I mean, I know I'm old school with this, but it shouldn't really give me that much headache. We'll do it this way. There. Now it stays. Voila. Jakob says, indeed, but via your program, Anders, is getting better. Sounds easy. Yeah, it's not easy, Simone. It's simple. It's not easy. Had it been easy, more people would do it. All right? More people would do it. So what we want to realize is that very little of what's coming from the outside world is serving us. Very, very little. And especially now, you're being inundated with negativity from all over the place. And if you let that affect you, well, you'll start building pictures of that. We know what happens. We just went over it. What we want to realize is we need to become very good at shutting down those senses. And what we want to do instead is start using our higher faculties. You have the will, W for will, I for imagination. You have the imagination to build the picture of what you really want. And then you have the will to hold on to that picture. You can do that regardless of how your present circumstances look like. You can. And that new picture will become an emotion. Now it's a positive idea. It becomes an emotion in your subjective mind that changes the vibration in your body that's going to cause you to act totally different. Now that, of course, sets up a reaction, and that produces these results that we want, whatever they are. Whatever they are. I don't know what you want, but I know that that's the way to go. So when I look back on my journey, I realized that what I had become very good at was not giving energy to what was. You know, we're good at that. We give energy to what was. We're programmed to do that. You know, we're here our entire upbringing. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you hear what I just told you? And so we've been programmed to live through the senses. Very unhealthy. Extremely unhealthy. All right? So that's where most people live, and that's how they continue to live. If we don't learn this concept and shut down the senses, now, throughout our training these 5 days, you will receive tangible tools to do this. You know, this is not just information I'm pouring your way. You'll get tools that will help you, and it requires you to register because you will receive all these downloads per email. All right, so it's not just enough to be a member of this group. You want to make sure you register for the training if you haven't done so already. We'll make sure to paste the link here in the video as well, so you can go do that if you haven't done that already. So let's see, a lot of things coming. Jusky says, it sounds so simple, but that's hard to believe. Of course it is. You're not programmed to live like that. So it will be hard to believe in the beginning. You won't believe it, most likely. Your goal will feel like a wild lie. It did for me when I said it. It really did. But I realized through my imagination and through my will, that's what took me there. There was no evidence in my physical world that I was going to work with the best in the world in personal development. There was no evidence that I was going to be financially free. There was no evidence that I was going to be really healthy and feeling great. None of that was evident in my world. Well, today, not only am I working with the best in the world in personal development, in fact, we've co-created a program together called The Secret to Real Magic. It's the most unique program in the personal development industry as far as I know. Nobody has done this, where we merge 60 years of Bob's observations with my 15 years of observations, added illusions. It's totally unique. So I actually superseded that goal. Financially, everything has changed. Health-wise, everything has changed. But I became so good at ignoring present results. I had an eviction notice on my door. That's not a very fun place to live. That's where I live. And if my camera dies for some reason out of lack of power, I want to apologize. Hopefully you'll stay with me. So thank you, Tina. I appreciate that. But anybody can do this. I haven't done anything you couldn't do. All right? I feel I'm living such a miniature version of my life compared to where I could be. Now, when I look back, I don't recognize me. Even Bob and I talked about that yesterday. He said, it's a long ways from when I met you the first time, and I'm like, I can't recognize the person. Everything has changed. But I'm also very serious about these concepts, and you should be too. That's why we're here. I'm so passionate about this. I just really want you to get just 2% more today than you've gotten last week, tomorrow, the next day. And it's a daily commitment. I realize that. There's a reason why 900 people register and 200 people show up live. Where are the rest? Well, you know, present circumstances, work, other things came in. That's more important. No, it isn't. Your own development should be your highest priority in your life, and it isn't for most people. It's something that is being slipped, you know, in the back door whenever there's time, you know. They're not really serious about it. They think they are. They hope for better. They really want better. But they're not willing to pay the price. They're not willing to put in the time, the focus, the effort. Will it take time to live like this? Yeah, it will take time to get to that point. But that's why we're here. And I guarantee you, if you do exactly what I'm teaching, you can have anything you want. And that's not an exaggeration. If you can tell me what you want, our team can definitely show you how to get it. So let's look at this from a different perspective. You know, why is it that you and I live lives and create results that we don't want? Because I know you want better. I know I want better. Why is it that we live and reproduce results we've gotten in the past? Why is it that we let all those negative limiting beliefs hold us back? Well, because we don't know enough about ourselves to change it. This wasn't taught in school. My gosh, you learned very little about this in school. In fact, you learned nothing about yourself in school, really. You learned to gather a lot of information and prove that you gathered it and that you could remember it, but learning more about the mind, not really. So why is it that, for those of you who are in Denmark, we have this Jantelov saying, and everybody's preoccupied by living according to something that they allow into their mind. It's not a law. It is if you allow it to be. But it's sort of this limiting belief system that I used to live in. Everybody they don't think I can live this way. I don't set the goals because what are they going to think of me? That's a choice. Nobody, first of all, your neighbor, your friends, your family, they most likely don't think. Look at their results. It's pretty evident they don't think. They don't commit themselves to study. They don't commit themselves to personal development. Look at their results. Have they stayed the same year after year after year? Probably. And like this fear of not fitting in, well, that's where most people live. That's where I live. That's why I was sick and tired. I was so busy trying to live other people's what I thought they expected of me, and it turned out they didn't expect anything. They rarely expected anything out of themselves, so let alone did they expect anything out of me, right? And I look at their results. The people I used to hang out with, I look at their results today. With very few exceptions, they're the same. They've been the same for the last 15 years. And why? They live a program they were handed. So where does that programming come from? Let's look at that. When you arrived on planet Earth, when I arrived on planet Earth, we were like this. There was no conscious awareness yet. It wasn't there. Just a subjective mind and a body. So everything that happened around us went straight into that baby's subjective mind. Belief systems, ways to live, political beliefs, a lot of things that did not serve you and I went right in there. And so that's between newborn and 5-6 years of age. Between newborn and 5-6 years of age, that's how you and I look like. Now after that, that age, the conscious mind starts to develop. But at that point, when the power still flows in, because it never stops, it keeps flowing into our consciousness, with that power we can think. But at that point, what we think about will be heavily influenced by this paradigm in the subjective mind. A person who is conditioned through their DNA and early upbringing to work for a minimum wage, they will very rarely think about how they're going to earn $1 million next week. Very rarely will they think about that. They will think about lag and limitation because that's what's programmed into their subjective mind. So when you're wondering, how am I programmed? What are the beliefs that are controlling me? Most people spend too much time searching there, and a lot of therapy is good, but much of it also has to do with looking back at what happened, and not very much progress is created there. Right? What we want to look at is what are the results today? What are the results today, and what do I have to believe to change them? So today it's all about understanding the mind, what makes us who we are, and then how to start training the mind to see opportunities in situations that you are in. All right? So this is important. If we don't like what's programmed into our subjective mind, our parents, mom, dad, you did the best you could. But you couldn't give what you didn't have. You can't give what you don't have. So if you have children and you find yourself telling people around you, well, my children, they should have everything I haven't had, well, that's a very unlikely thing because you can't give what you don't have. So if you want financial freedom for your kids, well, isn't it about time you create it for yourself first? And on it goes. We can't give what we don't have. So let's understand that that's how we arrived, that's how we're programmed, and we're here the entire week to start changing that programming. All right? If you're committed to changing your programming, let me know in the chat. A lot of great feedback here, and I really love that you're so dialed in. A lot of folks online that are here live, a lot of folks are going to watch the replay, and even if you are here live, go back and watch the replay. There's so much here that you really want to dig into, okay? So we want to understand that everything that comes our way, just is. Just is. It's not good. It's not bad. It's not big. It's not small. Everything just is. Depending on how we look at it, depending on that point of view, makes it what it is. So everything just is. And right now, people use that energy that gives them the ability to think. They use that energy to look at why they can't do something. And they give themselves all the reasons. I am not, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't have the right education, I don't have the money, there's these times that starts with a C and ends with an A. I refuse to pronounce the name, but you know what I'm talking about. Oh, these C times, you know. What? They're not there unless you allow them in. It doesn't mean that it's not bad. Of course it's bad. It's really bad. But if you're going to allow that to control your thinking, you just don't deserve better results. I'm sorry. A lot of people talk about that right now. Oh, it's this. That's why we can't. No, it's not. There are people right now living rich lives on all planes. They're happy, they're healthy, they're wealthy. They don't let themselves be affected by what's going on outside. I don't. In fact, last year I made a decision. We were going to double our results, and we have. There's other people in this industry that tanked and floundered and went under in many other industries. So it's never about the industry. It's about your own perception. So what we're talking about here is perception. All right? Perception is a mental tool. You and I are equipped with 6 of them: imagination, intuition, will, reason, memory, and perception. These are mental tools. This is your mental toolbox. That toolbox enables you to live from the inside out. And most people don't live there. They live from the outside in. We talked about that earlier. So what we're really getting into here is commitment. It's commitment to a new way of thinking, understanding we have a mental faculty called perception. Perception is your point of view. Why do you think illusions work? Illusions are nothing but shifts in perception. So the illusion didn't happen here. I didn't perform an illusion. The illusion happened in your mind because you made assumptions that weren't true. Assumptions, perception, that's the key. So it's not about what happens. It's about our perception about what happens. And what is the perception guided by? You're right, our paradigm, our programmed way of looking at the world. And so we process about 40 bits of information on a conscious level, 20 million subjectively on a subconscious level every second. A lot of information coming in. What do you think controls us? 95 to 98% of the time, it's your programmed side of your mind that controls you. And that part of the mind controls your perception, what you see. So let's come back to this. You know, I'm too young, I'm too old, I don't have the money, these C and A times, they're bad, whatever it is, my family won't allow me, my partner isn't on board, and now is not the right time. We can easily come up with that because our mind is programmed to look at that. You and I are programmed to look at what we can lose, never what we can win. We live in this constant survival mode, right? So those 6 mental tools, go back and watch the replay, all right? I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you, But if I have to repeat every point I'm making, we'll be here for the next 5 years instead of 5 days. There's a lot of information. You know, it really falls on your shoulders to repeat this to yourself. Go back and rewatch and rewatch and rewatch, and you will get more and more out of it, all right? Share any observations here. Anything that comes up, share, ask questions. We have a great community here that are supported, all right? So perception is your point of view. It's how you look at a thing, and how you look at a thing is defined by your programming. So everything just is. Most people immediately hone in on why it's bad. Now, if you can come up with everything that's bad by the very nature of the law of opposites, because that's a primary law, the law of opposites decrees that everything does have an opposite to it. Think about it. I'm on the inside in this office right now, but the inside couldn't exist without the outside that's out there. Same with you. If you're outside, there's an inside to your house. There's an up here and there's a down there. There's a warm there and there's a hot there. There's a warm there and there's a cold there. There's prosperity over there and there's poverty over here, or vice versa. You know, these are all, they're not different things. They're two sides of the same thing. Problem, solution, not two different things. Two different sides of the same thing. So can you train your mind to use the law of opposites to find the solution? Yes, you can. It's not that it isn't there. The solution is there. The biggest possibility in your life right now is maybe right in front of you. But think about it. You don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind. So if you're programmed to see the limitation, you will never see the opportunity. I really want you to write this down. Believing is seeing. Believing is seeing, not the other way around. People say, well, I see it, but then I'll believe it. Of course they say that because they live from the physical and they let the physical define the higher side of their personality. No, believing is seeing. You got to see first in your mind's eye what nobody else can see. That starts building a belief. Believing is seeing. And now when you believe that you can, you will start create a framework in your mind that supports that belief. And that means you will start to see the opportunity. All right? So there's a question here I want you to think about, and I want you to write this down too. I know you have a challenge. We all do. And successful people, trust me, are not people without problems. They're just people who've learned to solve their problems. I thought for a long time, if I just earn more money, all my problems will go away. Well, my first million came with a bunch of headaches, but I was forced to learn how to use my mind correctly. So the more success I create, the more challenges arise. But I'm just getting better and better and better at solving the challenges. It isn't that they aren't there. There's mountains of challenges, and I approach them with a wonderful expectant attitude because I realize if it's a big problem, at the same time, by the nature of this law, I should be able to become aware of the opportunity. All right? They are there too. You couldn't have one side without the other. So I want you to sit down and do this exercise when we're done. All right? Really start experimenting with this concept. If I can come up with all the reasons why I can't earn, why I can't be, why I can't do, well, by the very nature of this law, I can come up with how I will. There's a question here I want you to ask yourself. Write this down. What is the illusion here? What is it that I'm programmed not to see? What is the illusion here? What is it that I'm programmed not to see? So if you have the next challenge, if you're going to challenge anything, don't challenge your potential, for goodness sakes. Challenge your perception. It's not a problem until you make it one. The problem is very rarely out there. The problem is in here. It's in our perception of what's going on. All right? So what is the illusion here? What is it that I'm programmed not to see? Now you're challenging your perception. And as you challenge your perception by the very nature of this law, you must be able to come up with a solution. Must. As an example, last year I was challenged. I'm challenged often. Last week was probably I was met with more challenges at the same time than I've ever been met with before. Physically, I was challenged. My mom passed. Professionally, I was challenged. I was challenged on all levels. What got me through was these concepts. Most people would just crawl up in a fetal position on the floor. No, life is too important. We actually woke up today. What a blessing. Wow. How are we using the magic of this wonderful new day? Are we using our higher faculties the way they're meant to be used? If we're going to really be honest with ourselves, I think in most cases that answer is no. Did you operate today under the standard of the person who achieved your goal? Did you operate today under the standards of the person who achieved your goal? What is the illusion here? What is it that I'm programmed not to see? You know, where you are now is nowhere compared to where you can be. Nowhere. I know where I'm at is nowhere where compared to where I can be. I know what I'm going to be creating in the future is going to be absolutely magnificent. I owe it to myself and my community and the world. I'm that important. You are that important. You're the most advanced creature on planet Earth. Isn't it about time you start bringing that to the surface? Are we really operating from that point of view every single day? That you are the most advanced creature that has ever walked the face of this earth. You are. Wow. I want you to do that right now. Kiss yourself, for goodness sake. Take your hand up and do this. God, I love you. Say that out loud. Do that now. Please, go ahead. Doesn't that feel good? It's not arrogance. It's not conceit. It's a healthy, conscious awareness of the power that you represent. It's a healthy thing to do every now and then. All right, so you're getting some homework now. You know, you're not here just to be entertained. We talked about that. You're not here just to receive a lot of information. That's certainly not my intention with this. My intention with these 5 days and the additional 2 days on Saturday, Sunday, in fact, we're going to spend 7 days together if you don't know that already. We are. My intention with this is that it's transformative. I don't want to be motivational. I don't want to be inspirational. I want to be educational to a point where it's transformative. That's my aim with this. And don't thank me. Thank yourself. You know, Bob mentioned that yesterday when he and I talked, and he called me to bring his condolences on the passing of my mother, and I said I have a hard time finding words for the gratitude that I hold for you. And he said, hold it for yourself. You did it. He said, I run into people all the time. Very few people do what you have done. So give yourself the credit. And I thought, he's right. You know, I honor him. I respect him. I love him. I'm so grateful for the work he's doing, for the truth that he has woken me up to. But give yourself credit. I'm not doing this. You're doing this. I'm just creating the framework for you to unfold in your framework. All right? This is important. Karine says, I love me. Great. Wonderful. Honor that. In fact, we should have a day out of the week where you do nothing but love yourself. You can love yourself to tremendous success. Most people have a hard time rewarding themselves. They will reward everybody before themselves. Their family, their kids, everybody gets the attention. Are you playing the star in your own movie? Because if you're not, your kids couldn't take that on and run with it. So you can't give what you don't have. Isn't it about time you start building a strong self-image so that your business will improve, so that your family relationship will improve, so that your relationship will improve? I say so. Now, this is something we're going into later this week. There's so much good stuff coming, you know. So really dial in here. Jusky said, I get emotional here. Jusky, that's because you are getting in touch with your higher self. You're getting in touch with with who you really are. That can be an emotional journey sometimes. It's overwhelming to some people. Like I know many of you who are in our programs, they're overwhelmed by the power that they start feeling. So you never get energy. You release energy. You know, people say, Anders, where do you get the energy? I don't get it from anywhere. I get it from within. I love what I do. I release energy. You release energy when you're in touch with what you do. But if you're not in touch with what you do, you will have a hard time waking up in the morning. You will have a hard time dragging your feet to work. You will start experiencing your body creating these symptoms. We call it stress. It's a symptom. The main cause has never been worked with, and it's you that's in total and utter incongruency. You are just not in sync. Your programmed mind wants you that way, your intellect wants you that way, and it creates an enormous conflict. And when that conflict is allowed to be there long enough, we start to call it all these different symptoms. But what it really is you not living your purpose, you not living what you're meant to live. That's really what it's about. So I suggest that you start making different decisions, start doing things differently this week. And will it be easy? No, it won't. It will not be easy. But man, will it be rewarding when you have the courage to do that, to start making different decisions, to get different results. So you do get, I know this a lot, but hey, take it or leave it. I'm giving as much as I can. Do this exercise when we're done. If you can come up with all the reasons why you can't do something, stay with the question long enough, what am I programmed not to see? And start writing down. Things will come to you that you didn't think of before, all right? That's the first exercise. You're with me? That's the first. Tammy says, being here with you all makes me so happy I could cry. Tammy, you're here. Pat yourself on the back. You showed up. You're here. You're contributing to this. I mean, I know we are creating an amazing energy in this group all week long. I know. I feel it already. Mom, do you feel it? Yeah, she does. She feels it. She sees it too now. I hope you feel it. There's an amazing energy because people here are on the same frequency. You know, maybe we all belong to the same spiritual family. So this is the second exercise. There's 3 exercises. I know it's a lot. First exercise, actually there is 4, but first, the one we went through, 2, this. If you are uncertain about where you are in terms of what you would love, many people say, well, I'm really not sure what I want to spend my life doing. If that is you, this exercise is for you. And if you already have a pretty solid direction, it's still for you. New things might come up. I want you to use the law of polarity in this fashion. You have a set of skills that you have learned throughout your life, skill sets. Things that you have learned in your job, as part of your education, something that you have become good at in many different areas, all right? List all of those skills in one column. And over here, I want you to list all your interests and or hobbies, things that you just like to do. Just sort of things that you just, maybe you're, I don't know, collecting stamps, flying with kites, maybe you are go-kart driving on the weekends, maybe you are fishing, maybe you're just an avid fisher, you just love fishing, and the skill set you have built is in, accounting, let's say that. And you feel really dissatisfied, you don't really know what direction you're going to go in. Well, you've built a skill set from past experiences, you have interests and hobbies, there will be places where these 2 will meet. And you may not be aware of that yet, but I guarantee you, where they meet is likely your direction. It will be something you're passionate about. It's going to be something you like. You've already built a skill set for it. And with a slight shift in self-image, you can go do that. Totally new direction. So today, the first day here is just helping you open your mind to a totally different way of thinking. It's not about the world. It's not about the results. It's in our perception of results. And when you use this exercise, you will start becoming aware of skills that you probably weren't even aware of and how they match with what you desire, what you naturally love. I really hope that you took a lot of valuable insight away from this video today. And to make sure you stay updated in terms of everything Real Magic World, including programs and live events, make sure that you enable your notifications and most importantly, subscribe to this channel so that you will be the first to know.